Hello, and welcome to your Anatomy and Physiology Orientation. This is Canvas. It is our learning management system that we're going to utilize for this class. Whenever you first log on, this is what you'll see on your dashboard. It won't have quite as many classes. You'll want to select the class that you're currently enrolled in. We'll do Anatomy and Physiology for this one. And it'll always take you to a home page. This homepage will briefly describe the course. It'll have any necessary contact information that you may need for Low Country, as well as just other links that you may find helpful. We're going to start today in the orientation link. These are your course modules, which will walk you through the entire course. Again, you can see the course description. Here's where you'll find the schedule for this course. Keep in mind that the schedule is subject to change based on the needs of the students. So if we need extra time in a particular area, or there is some type of inclement weather event that ends up hindering or impacting the class, we may have to shift the schedule just a little bit. We're going to start by looking at our student manual. I'm sorry, I know this isn't the most fun thing to go through, but we're just going to talk quickly about our policies, things that are going to be important for you in regards to the class. And I know this is a little dry, but I promise it's important for us to get through. So first, again, here's the staff that you're dealing with at Low Country. I am Megan. I'm going to be your instructor as well as the paramedic program director. This course does satisfy the requirements set forth by DHEC and our other accrediting bodies, which are CAMP and COAMPS. While they have a minimum of 100 hours, this course is going to exceed that just because I think it's important for you to get a firm understanding of anatomy and physiology. You don't need to worry about requirements for admission because you're already here. Course fees should have been paid prior to admittance. If you have not paid for the course yet, please reach out to Courtney Varnado and ensure that you do so. For your student conduct, I can really sum up these 9 points fairly simply. I have expectations of you as a student, and honestly, they're just for you to do your coursework and to come to class prepared. This course is a little bit different in that it's an asynchronous hybrid course, so we're not spending a lot of time in person together. However, that doesn't change the fact that when you do show up for our weekly sessions, I want you to come prepared and engaged and ready to learn. And carry that through when you're engaging with any of the coursework. So when you're sitting down watching the lectures, when you're going through doing your quizzes, when you're flipping through your textbook, have yourself in a good headspace where you're ready to be a good student and take in the information. If you can't be in that headspace when you're in our weekly lecture sessions, I simply ask that you don't take that opportunity away from your classmates. If you can't come to class ready to be a good student, at least don't take away the learning experience from the students that are there. For our attendance policy, DHEC states that you can't miss more than 10% of a course. With this being an asynchronous hybrid course, it's a little bit different since we're not meeting in person. Your attendance is based off of the coursework that you do. As long as you're doing all of your quizzes and you're doing your weekly lab assignments, there's no reason that you should hit this 10%. Honestly, if you're not doing the coursework, you're going to fail out due to your grades before you'll fail out due to attendance issues. In order for you to successfully complete the course, we do require that you get a 77%. That is a total with all of your grades factored in. So all of your quizzes, your virtual labs, your research paper, midterm final. We require that 77 to move on. Speaking of the research paper, let's talk about academic dishonesty for a second. We do not tolerate any forms of academic dishonesty. I think it's very important that if someone put the work into writing a paper, doing the research, that they are awarded credit for their intellectual property. Because of that, you need to give them credit. So whenever you write your paper, please be sure that you're not plagiarizing. Here are some examples of plagiarizing, as well as this Purdue OWL. This is an excellent online resource to help ensure that your paper is not only in the necessary format, but that you're not falling into potential plagiarism pitfalls. Pass your research paper. Other forms of academic dishonesty would be cheating on exams or quizzes, photocopying exams, so taking screenshots of them and then saving them and passing them out to other people later, or just saving them for your own use. Less falsifications of records at the moment. That's more pertinent whenever we get to the paramedic program. We are a zero tolerance institution for academic dishonesty. Should you be caught in engaging in any of these forms of academic dishonesty, you will be immediately dismissed from the program. I will let you guys flip through progressive discipline and our grievance procedure. Basically just do what you're supposed to be doing, especially in a class that's this type of format. There's not a whole lot that I ask of you guys other than to do your work and have a good time while you're learning. Looking at the setup of our course. So again, whenever you first log on, you'll see this homepage. To navigate through the different weeks, you can click down to this next view, which is the modules. And I'm going to look at it like you guys look at it. So first you'll have your orientation. You can see the schedule in the handbook. You'll do this quiz, which is the handbook attestation, just acknowledging that you've been given the handbook and that you've read it and understand it. And if you have any questions, you can let me know. Once you have done this quiz, it'll unlock everything else. I think the extra resources are always important for a course, so I've given you a couple. Coloring pages, for those of you who are into it, BioDigital is an excellent website. This virtual dissection. You'll be getting an email with a link so that you have a login for that. And then here's an interesting video on how to actually read a textbook. We're using a paramedic textbook when we're describing it, not your anatomy and physiology book, but it still works very much in the same way. Textbooks aren't meant to be read cover to cover like you would read for pleasure, so priming your brain to take in that knowledge is very important. After that, each week is broken, or each module is then broken down into weeks. So you'll first see a weekly descriptor. So everything that we're hoping to cover in the week, all of your lessons, this is just to let you know kind of what's coming up and what's going on. You will then have a quiz, just acknowledge that you've done your reading, you flip through your book, you know that you're supposed to be reading the book. You'll then have lectures. The reason you have multiple lectures and some chapters have more lectures than others is all of these lectures are broken down into 30-minute or less segments. There are questions embedded within. Those questions aren't necessarily for a grade. They're marking your attendance for sure, but they're also showing you how well you understood the material that was within that lecture. If you completed the lecture and you notice that the grade is a little bit lower than you'd like it to be, that's some material that you probably should go back and study and look at just to ensure that you are taking in and you're getting the full amount of the material. The other thing you'll see that's due each week are going to be chapter quizzes. So for each chapter, there is a quiz. I do quizzes a little bit differently than possibly other forms of education that you've been through. I don't believe in punitive grading for formative knowledge. So when you're actively learning and you're taking in that information, I don't think that you should be penalized in that pursuit of education. Because of that, your chapter quizzes are not open book, so you still need to take them closed resource. However, you can take them as many times as you would like to. You do need to get a minimum of an 80 on every chapter quiz to unlock the midterm and then to also unlock the final. However, it's not an average of your grades, it's the highest grade. So you can keep taking them until you hit the 80, until you hit 100 if you're somebody who would like 100 on everything in the course, which I think is a good goal to go for. The other thing I like about the chapter quizzes is they filter through the question banks. So your chapter quizzes will never be more than 20 questions, and they're just going to pull from all of the questions within chapter one. So every time you retake the quiz, it won't be the same. You can use this as a study aid. So you can keep taking the quizzes to see where you have knowledge, where you're maybe missing knowledge, and then go brush up on the questions that you got wrong. Speaking of questions that you got wrong, at the end of the quiz, it will tell you your right and your wrong questions. However, for the ones that you get wrong, it will not give you the correct answer. Instead, it's going to point you to where you need to go look for that information in the book. This is how you can use it as a study aid. So instead of just memorizing that, well, I answered this time, it needs to be that for the next time, it prompts you to go look and seek out and study that information. The only other thing that's firmly due each week in addition to your chapter quizzes is going to be a virtual lab assignment. It's just a Word document, so you can download it, you can handwrite it, you can type on it. You can even just type your answers back into the text box under the assignment. It's leading you through what we would normally do inside the lab if you were coming in person that relates to the material that's going on that week. Here's where we have our kind of quote unquote in class or our hybrid component. So each week we will have a weekly fireside chat or meet and greet on Thursdays from 12 to 2 for this particular course. Check with your instructor to see if it's at a different time. With this weekly discussion, we will not have a firm lecture. So the human brain doesn't take in information by listening to hours and hours and hours of lecture, which is why all your lectures are pre-recorded and broken down into tiny segments. Instead, this is the time for us to answer questions. So throughout the week, while you're studying, while you're reading, type in questions of either things you didn't fully understand, you're having a hard time grasping, or you just want a little bit more information about. On those Thursday meetings or whatever day of the week your meeting is for your course, I'll go through and we'll talk about the answers to those questions and we'll go through them. These sessions are not required, but recommended. So if you're on shift and you're not able to make it, don't fret. I'll still answer your questions if they're there. I record all of those sessions and then upload them whenever we're done. To fully finish the week, you'll then need to come and you'll need to do this assignment and attendance statements. It's just a quick quiz saying, yes, I completed all my assignments. This is a big part of your attendance for the course, so please ensure that you do this. Each week is just going to wash, rinse, and repeat that same kind of format. Once we get halfway through the course, you will have 2 assignments that are going to be due in addition to your normally weekly assignments. The first is your midterm exam, which will cover the chapters from the beginning of the course to that midpoint. The next thing is going to be your research paper. This is me kind of forcing your hand to not work on it at the very end of the program. At the halfway point, you're going to need to turn in an annotated bibliography. All this really is you doing some research, finding the sources that you'd like to use about your particular subject, and then giving me a quick little blurb about why that particular source is important for the paper that you're writing. Looping back to the paper, I'm not expecting a great work of art. I know that most of you have not written a paper in a very long time, if ever. But I think this is an important exercise, and you going out seeking deeper information in one particular topic, honing those skills of searching and kind of digging to learn more about something, and then reporting that information back to me. I'd like you to pick a disease process. I say it's between cardiovascular, pulmonary, and renal. If you have a disease process that's not in one of those 3 systems that you really would like to write about, just let me know. We can talk about it. As long as it's not something that's going to be too difficult to find information about, I'm pretty amenable in agreeing with some of those. Once you pick your subject, you're then going to research the morbidity and mortality, the pathophysiology behind that disease process itself, risk factors that patients are looking at for potentially developing that disease, how the disease will progress from onset to completion, how we're going to verify it not only pre-hospital, so things that would make us suspect that disease, but how they formally verify and diagnose it in the hospital or the doctor setting. And then what your assessment would look like, short and long-term management for the disease. And then what they might look like if they have an acute exacerbation, if that's applicable to this particular thing. I've given you possible themes that you can pick from. By all means, please pick something that excites you, that is personal to you, that you actually want to research. It'll make this project a lot more fun for you. I don't want it to be super long, so I do ask that you do it double-spaced, 12-point font, APA format. It only needs to be between 750 and 1,500 words, so not a super long work of art. This is very much a reasonable request. If you have any questions and you're not sure where to go, where to get started with your research paper, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you on that journey. That is the quick breakdown of not only our student manual, but kind of how the class is set up within Canvas and the flow. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. And I'm looking forward to going on this journey with you.